wanted to show you this setup here. Here is my LED lights. I actually use a blue one and a green one, but use whichever two colors. If you have a green and a red, go ahead and try setting those up. And you might have to get creative. I got creative. I found a way to set them up so that they're vertical, so that they're at the same level as my lens that's in the sand here. And then I created a screen here. I have a little iPad holder, but you can even use a box and tape some white paper onto it, and that becomes a screen. This, what looks like a blue dot right there, is actually, that's light from the lens. That's coming from the blue LED. If I turn off the lights, which I'm about to do, you will see both a blue and a green light. There's the Christmas lights, ignore those. That's what I showed you a minute ago. But here's the screen, and you see a blue light and a green light. And what those are the image, and those are only going to show up if the screen is placed at the right location. So watch what happens when I move the screen a little bit. The image is going to become blurrier. See, there it's blurry. It's not as sharp. Let me see if I can get it sharp. It's harder to see in the camera, but if you do this on your own, you'll see that there's a point on the screen where the images are sharp. Then they get blurry again, so you got to move it just to the right spot. Okay, so what I have here, of course, is there's my lights and my circuit board. There's my lens right here. So you need to put the lights in the circuit board some distance away from the lens. Don't put them close to the lens. They have to be at least what's called a focal length away. They have to be more than the focal length away from the lens in order for this to happen. Turn on the lights again. So what you're going to do in this lab now is you're going to measure the distance between the image, which is this right here. I have a meter stick or a tape measure here. And so I'm going to measure it in centimeters. The distance from the image to the lens. Here's the lens. And I'll put my finger there. In my case, it's 74 centimeters. That's the distance from the lens to the image. Then what's the distance from the lens to the object? The object is my circuit right here. It's my object. My object's at about 130 centimeters. I'll call that 130 centimeters. That's where my finger is right there. About 130 centimeters. So the distance from my lens, which is at 74 centimeters, to my object at 134 centimeters is the difference between them. Or else I could just move the meter so that meter stick or tape measure so it starts here and measures the distance to my object there. The other thing I'm going to want you to measure is the separation between the two bulbs if you're using two bulbs. How far apart are they on here? And how far apart are they on your screen? I have to turn off the light. But the distance apart on the screen is the image size, and the distance they're apart over here is the object size. Now the object size is not going to change, but the image size will, depending on where your object is located. All right, so what I'm going to do then is I'm now going to move my LEDs, my object, to a different position. It's one of the things I ask you to do in the lab. And notice that the image now became blurry. It's blurry. So then I have to move my screen to a different place so that the image becomes sharp again. There we go. It's pretty sharp right there. That's about as sharp as it'll get. You can't see the green light there, but I'll turn off the overhead lights and you'll see the green light again. Okay, so there's the blue and the green light. So I want to measure the separation between them now. That's the image size. It's going to be different. And we have some equations in the lab that tell you what that is. So I want you to repeat this for 3 times. So you're going to have 3 different measurements of the object and image distances for 3 different situations. Okay, and make sure you measure the image size, the separation between the 2 dots, at each of those three, for each of those three situations. All right, so you'll have those three. And from that, I want you to try to determine the focal length of the lens. The focal length of the lens shouldn't change. It should be the same value all the time. What's changing are your object distances and your image distances. The last thing I'm going to have you do is this. I'm going to have you keep the image position the same and the object position the same once you've made your three measurements of the different configurations. And what I'm going to want you to do is move the lens. And there should be 2 points at which you see a clear image over here based on the position of the lens. I think one of them is right around here. The other one is, let's see if I can find the other one, right there. So there's actually 2 different positions within this space between the image and the object that I can move my lens in order to get a sharp image on my screen here. There's one of them there, and there's one of them there. So I want you to see if you can find those positions and then measure the corresponding object and image distances in each of those cases. And they should still work in your lens equation of 1 over f equals 1 over the object distance plus 1 over the image distance. All right, and that's all there is to this lab. We actually got one of the measurements that I made earlier. It was those numbers, so that's one measurement, but you want to try to get 2 more with your setup. And then do that last exercise where you have the object and the image spaced fixed, and you move the lens itself. And also make sure you measure the image size in each of those cases. The object size will always stay the same. And I think that's all for this lab. Good luck with that. This is your last lab. Enjoy it. Optics is interesting and fun. I hope you can see the image. One little thing I'll let you know, make sure you don't get this, as I said, don't get this too close to your object. If it's within the focal length of the lens, then there will never be an image. So the lens has to be at least a certain distance away from your object in order for an image to appear. So if you're not getting an image, try making your lens further away from your bright object, and then try getting an image by moving the screen appropriately. All right,